right, keep it going. Not for me, though, for Kim. Thank you for letting your pain become your platform and for giving the rest of us a chance to tell our stories. All right, so let's just state the obvious and get it out of the way. I'm a human disco ball, I know. Okay? Acknowledge the jacket, it's fine. What I actually want you to acknowledge is the thought that you have about me right now. It's okay. Whatever it is fine. This is what we do, right? We see kids that are too old to be having temper tantrums, and decide, ooh, bad parents. Somebody doesn't let you out in traffic, and we decide that that person is selfish in everything they do in their lives. And they probably are. We take our judgments and let them become assumptions. It's like predictive text on your phone, you know? Like you get 1 or 2 letters, and it assumes it knows what you're gonna say. Like, my phone must think I'm always talking about boats, but ship. That was not what I was gonna say. It's fine. This is what we do. We put expectations on other people. We expect people to be certain things. We expect them to do or be or say certain things based on their position, role, or who they are in our lives. But when we turn it around the other way, it's harder because then people have expectations of us. So I am on staff at Mosaic Church, and some people know me as a staff member as a church, and so they assume that I am always good and kind and gracious all of the time. Other people know of me because of social media, and they have written the story that my life is perfect and everything is just happy-clappy all day long. Some of you have no idea who I am, and that's totally fine, but you still have an expectation of something that you want from me based on that first thought that you had when I walked up on stage. See, when I auditioned, I planned on talking to you about the expectations and assumptions that we put on each other and how we need to back it off and give people space. And there is some validity in that. I do think that that's a true statement. But talking at you and trying to teach you something is not what you came for. Kim created this space so that we could show up and feel normal and that you could leave knowing that you're not alone. So instead of trying to give you a nugget of knowledge to walk away with, I'm going to see if I can make this relatable. First, question for all the women. There's lots of women out here. Who is your favorite Disney princess? Yes, okay. I know, guys, hang with me. I'm covered in sequins. I'm talking about princesses. Don't get up and leave, okay? I promise I'm going somewhere with this. All right, so when I was a kid, I loved Snow White. She was the only brunette princess at the time, but also everybody loved her, and they were always talking about how beautiful she was. She lived with those 7 little guys and, didn't have any girl drama, you know? So I was like, yeah, that's what I want to have for my life. Till I realized she was a cartoon, and her whole entire character was based on her appearance. So I needed to find a new role model that was more than just a pretty face. And in my search, I found one. It's Miss America. Miss America is not about looks, you guys, okay? She is a good person, and she helps people, and she fights for world peace. So, hello. Who doesn't want to be Miss America? Once I decided that's what I was going to do with my life, then I had to figure out how I was going to make that happen. It was a little bit about looks. I had to ditch my baggy t-shirts and bandanas, start wearing makeup and clothes that actually fit. But it was more about the platform. Miss America was always helping people. I like to be around people, so I decided I would go to college as a social worker. You know, change the world one family at a time. Then I got to college and started decorating my dorm with bulletin board crafts, changing them out for all the holidays with everybody's name on them, till my friends had to sit me down and say, listen, you are clearly the only person in the world that doesn't know you were born to be a teacher. And I was like, all right, I can do that. As a kindergarten teacher, I would have a limitless number of kids to love and take care of. So one day I realized this Miss America thing is actually attainable. Thanks to YouTube and fashion magazines, I got even better at putting on makeup and knowing how to dress. Between teaching and volunteering at church, I was constantly helping other people. I even entered a beauty pageant and I won. I was the only one that showed up, but they still said I won, and I'm keeping that crown. It's mine, you can't have it back. But it wasn't really about what I was doing. I became very good at playing the character and becoming this everyday Miss America. It was a little bit about my looks, but it was mostly about achieving, not letting people down, and being as perfect as possible. Brené Brown says that our egos drive pretending, performing, pleasing, and perfecting. Our egos love gold stars. They crave acceptance, approval, and admiration. So while it appeared that I was doing all the right things, it wasn't really just to help people. I was doing it for my ego. I loved the compliments and the attention. I thrived on knowing that people were telling me I was the best at whatever it was. I knew exactly what my ego needed to hear and how to get people to tell me. I put all of my validation in what other people thought. Fast forward through 12 years of teaching, a husband of 8 years, 2 little girls, and 2 therapists, and I have learned to stop playing the character for the praise. Instead, I play her for self-protection. See, my ego is very, very good at highlighting all of the shiny parts of myself, but it's also desperately afraid of being known. The ego is constantly ready to amp up the distractions if anybody gets too close. It's not always about my looks. That's just a tool that I have learned to use because I know that if I put my best appearance forward, I can distract you. I know that what you see is what you're going to base your assumptions on. And that means I know a lot of people are still going to be wrong and assume that my life is easy and I have no issues. But in self-protection mode, I don't care that your assumptions are wrong because it's still a lot easier and a lot less threatening than you knowing who I really am. I would rather you find me unrelatable because you think my life is perfect than you reject me because you figure out what I already know, which is that I'm not good enough to live up to who you need me to be. If you see my smiling red lips and assume my life is always joyful, you don't know that that same mouth sits in therapy talking about putting up walls for my emotions because I don't know if I can handle the weight of them. When you see me doing all the good things for all the people, you don't know that I might be delaying going home where I feel like it's a failure as a wife who struggles to emotionally show up for her husband. When you see perfectly put together, you don't know that sometimes I feel like I am falling apart, holding on to that one piece because I know if it falls, my entire life is going to crumble. It's not about my looks. It's about distracting you from what I don't want you to see or even see myself. Ann Voskamp says that behind our fears, we find our idols. And we all know what our fears are because that's the thing that we violently run away from, right? My fear is inadequacy and rejection. So my idol became self-preservation. By perfecting the confident, loud, shiny part of me, which is real. But by perfecting that side, I assured that that was more than enough Kristin for anybody they would ever need. Nobody's gonna come at me for anything else. So I could keep the rest of that hidden. What are you hiding from? What is the thing that you are so afraid of seeing even when you look in the mirror yourself? The problem is, when we rely on these external masks, we tell people what defines us. We say, this is who I am, and this is the most important part of me. Even worse, we take the fiction stories that we let other people write, and we let them limit the work of God in our lives. We even tell God, who made us, this is who I am. So here I am, God, here for your glory, but not this unusable, unsavable part. Use me. But just work within these parameters. The good news is, God is not limited by what we think. 2 Corinthians 13:5 says, do you not realize this about yourselves, that Jesus Christ is in you? Not in a sterile, like Sunday school answer kind of way, like God made me this way. And it's also not a badge of permission to do whatever we want to do. It means so much more than that. That whatever I am or whatever I'm not, doesn't matter because Jesus fills in the holes and makes me enough. He makes me enough. I'm going to wear this jacket again because I like it. This is just kind of the fashion sense that I have. So it's fine. It's not that putting effort into our appearance is bad. It's that I can't hide behind that. I don't need to because God says that's not who I am. And if you're thinking of someone else that needs to hear this message, I hope you can get it to them. But please don't take the easy way out by thinking this is not for you because you don't put as much effort into your appearance. We all play roles and hide behind things. Join me in the vulnerability and let it sink in. Pretending that we aren't as broken as other people doesn't make our issues any better. It just gives us the false reassurance that there is something we can control and manage. What you see in the mirror, I know you don't see it physically, but what you see every time you look at yourself, the pain, the doubt, the need, the brokenness, the fear, God can do immeasurably more than you can dream is possible with it. But first, you have to sit in the discomfort of your own reality, of who you are, what you think, and the lies you are letting yourself believe. God did not come for the righteous. He came for the broken to heal us. Not because of our unwavering faith, but because he sees a broken world and sent his son to heal it. Not so we can put all of our hope in one day and one event that happened thousands of years ago, but because he is still healing broken people today. Every time you can be authentic and you can look at yourself and see behind the mirror, every time you can share your real self with someone else, every time you can be a safe space for someone else to show up with their feelings and their fears and their junk, you are taking off the mask and revealing who God made you to be, way deep down in the depths of your soul. Christ in you. By removing the distractions, you reveal the face of God to another broken person who needs healing. I went first. Can you join me?